For our community project, we went to the Kickapoo Valley Reserve.
About us, I am Noelle. I'm a freshman at Viterbo University. I am going for a nursing major. I work at Mayo Clinic Health System in La Crosse, and I'm from Cashton, Wisconsin.
And my name is Maddie Hannigan. I'm a freshman social work major from Menasha, Wisconsin. And our other two partners are Lauren Johnson, who is a freshman nursing major who plays on the women's soccer team from Winona, Minnesota, and Emma Hammerstrom, who is a freshman nursing major from New Berlin, Wisconsin. The Kickapoo Valley Reserve is an 8,569 acres of land in Vernon County, Wisconsin. And the reserve is named after the Kickapoo River, which runs through the reserve and through Vernon County and surrounding counties. And the reserve belongs to the Ho-Chunk Nation and the government.
We chose 4 values that correlate with Kickapoo Valley Reserve. The first one was family, which is described as the basic unit in society, traditionally consisting of 2 parents and their children. Adventure, which is like an exciting or remarkable experience someone can have. Health is the condition of a person, which is the mind, body, and spirit. Respect is relation or reference to a particular thing or situation.
So a little bit about Marcy West. She is the executive director for the Kickapoo Valley Reserve, and she has been there for 24 years. She has a degree in natural resource management from UW-Stevens Point, and she is originally from Green Bay, Wisconsin. She loves to kayak, hike, turkey hunt, and hunt for morel mushrooms.
So the first value we have, again, is family. And we asked Marcy about how family fits into the reserve and how the recreation at the Kickapoo Valley Reserve brings families together. This was Marcy's response.
The Valley Reserve bring families together.
Well, in this year of the pandemic, we've seen it more than ever, that folks just love getting outside. And there's a range of trails, for example, where people can throw a baby on their backpack and still have a nice hike. People with older kids like to do something a little bit tougher, and there's more challenging ones. Rustic camping, having that experience that's affordable pretty much for anybody, brings families together. The river, canoeing and kayaking, like I said, because it's a gentle river and it's generally pretty shallow, we see all kinds of families doing that. And then when we have education programs going on, or special events, we try really hard to keep them affordable so that people with families can come and enjoy it, like Winter Festival or the 4th of July events, that kind of thing.
I saw on your website you guys have like horseback riding trails. Do a lot of people do that, or?
Yes, we have a ton of horseback riders.
Cool.
Yep. They love it just because of the size, and the trails are pretty rustic, challenging. And the fall colors this year were great, so people loved riding the hills.
And the next question we asked Marcy about was the value of adventure. And the question that we asked was, how does adventure fit in with the Kickapoo Valley Reserve community?
Adventure, I think folks just love the rugged terrain and having a different kind of landscape. Also having a very big property, 8,600 acres is a really large, it's 14 miles long, 3 to 3.5 miles across in most places. And so it really feels big, and like you can really get out there and get lost if you don't know how to read a map or what direction the sun rises and sets. So I think that adds to the adventure, that folks feel like they can get away.
Health was the next value. We asked, how is health of nature preserved?
Health of nature preserved.
Well, the agreement with the Ho-Chunk Nation, so when the property transferred from Federal Corps of Engineers ownership to state and Ho-Chunk Nation ownership, the mission is to preserve and protect. So various things like the location of the visitor center was decided that this would be pretty much the main impact. The rest of the 8,600 acres would pretty much stay as it is. Anytime we do anything, we do an endangered species survey, and we do an archaeological survey. There's over 500 known archaeological sites on the property, and that's part of the reason why the Ho-Chunk Nation is involved. So before we make any impact, we check for those things. The diversity of species here, it's well known for birding and plant species, and so we make a very strong effort to try and keep invasive species out, or at least so that the diverse plant life and the wildlife can continue. So it just depends on which aspect you're talking about. But overall, there's not going to be any new construction out onto the property. Even the timber harvest that we do all kinds of evaluations, and then the restoration after the harvest is to increase the diversity of the tree species instead of keeping it in monoculture. So, it's protected.
Yeah.
It's not going to be sold. There's not going to be a golf course built or condominium complex. So we try and protect the borders, boundaries. But mainly it's the diversity of plant and animal life.
And then we asked Marcy how respect fit into the Kickapoo Valley Reserve community.
Folks in this area, obviously respect the river, the Kickapoo River, because it's 99.9% of the time a gentle, just beautiful canoe paddle river. And then other times it can be up and just raging and causing lots of damage. So I think they respect that. I think they've come to respect how unique the area is, the topography and the geology, and the number of unique kind of habitats that they have because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just some examples.
The Kickapoo Valley Reserve hosts some educational programs. There is interactive exhibits and classroom activities. The Kickapoo Valley Reserve has an outdoor classroom, which is the 8,600 acres that the Kickapoo Valley Reserve has. A lot of it is hands-on experience for these kids of all ages. It promotes positive environmental values. Courses are available on Saturdays, evenings during the weekdays, and in the summer. Teachers can also schedule field trips, and fees are made reasonable so all families can come at little expense.
So some of the natural features of the Kickapoo Valley Reserve is that it's a national natural landmark. It contains 12 rare and endangered plant species. There are a variety of birds, mammals, reptiles, and amphibians that you have the possibility of seeing while you're out there. 60% of it is considered to be forested land, and 17% is considered wetland. It's part of a driftless area. The reserve is considered a dark sky reserve, which is known for having an outstanding view of the night sky. And the biggest natural feature would be the Kickapoo River being right there.
There are some rare or threatened species and plants that the Kickapoo Valley Reserve has. One being the wood turtle, which is in the first picture. The middle one is the northern muskhood, and the last one is the cerulean warbler bird.
So some recreation that the reserve offers is they have a hunting land for hunting things such as white-tailed deer, turkey, pheasant, and other small game. There are 3 different creeks that have become popular for catching trout and anglers on the reserve. The reserve has opportunities for trapping beavers, muskrat, and other game. The reserve has many hiking trails open all year round. along with equestrian and mountain bike trails, open May through November. The Kickapoo River is 125 miles long over a 65-mile stretch of land. So the people around the river call it the Crooked River. And camping on the reserve would be a great chance to get in touch with nature. The campsites can be accessed sometimes by car and other times by walking or horseback riding, or some are only easily accessible by canoe or kayak. And during the winter, the reserve has a number of different trails for people to cross-country ski, snowshoe, or snowmobile.
The Kickapoo Valley Reserve hosts numerous special events, 3 of which are the Dam Challenge, Tromp and Chomp, and the Winterfest. The Dam Challenge is on the first Saturday in October. You race 7 miles down the Kickapoo River, you bike 14 miles, and you run 3 miles. The Tromp and Chomp is an 8.5-mile marathon trail course. Races receive a t-shirt and post-run buffet from locals. The proceeds of the event go to the reserve's education and events programs. And then the festival is to get people moving after the holidays. It's in January. It's the first Saturday after the New Year. And it hosts guided hikes, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, sleigh rides, ice skating. And it also has food, live auction, and games.
So the Lafarge Dam project was to help prevent the repeated floods, damages, and the locals' interest led to the idea of the dam. There was a plan to control the Kickapoo River flooding in the 1930s, and the valley residents supported the project. They helped clean up the river, they put signs up for recreational activity, and Congress authorized flood control projects for the Kickapoo River in the 1962 Flood Control Act. The costs were about $15 million, and the downstream work costed about an extra $1 million.
The promise made to increase dollars from tourism and flood control was not made. The senators soon turned against the project, and the project was then never completed because the cost became too much. A lot of environmental concerns rised, and the dam was later proven not to work. People were devastated to see that the money that had been spent on this project already was not finished, and the land was made a national park. And now the tower at the Kickapoo Valley Reserve lies as a memorial to this dam project.
So a little bit about the Ho-Chunk Nation, because they are part owner of the Kickapoo Valley Reserve. They began arriving during the 17th century in Wisconsin, and in December 28th of 2000, 1,200 acres were transferred to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The Ho-Chunk Nation has helped impact the Kickapoo Valley Reserve with costs and restoring the land. And the Ho-Chunk Nation said that as you walk the reserve, you are part of the land and its spirit. Be humble in its presence and respect its power to change, provide, and continue.
Our reflection as a group overall, we took the time to actually go to the Kickapoo Valley Reserve and see what it has to offer. We hiked some trails there, we explored the land, and learned about the Kickapoo Valley Reserve from what Marcy had told us. Because we could actually experience this personally, we thought that the values there impacted us as we were there in real life, and it held a significant impact. The Kickapoo Valley Reserve was fun, exciting, adventurous, and brought us together.
And then here are references, and thank you.